Today on Bridge City News, a collision between a semi-trailer and an SUV south of Coaldale has claimed the lives of an elderly couple from Taber. For the second night in a row, police in Hong Kong fire tear gas at thousands of protesters demanding democratic reforms. And this week, Boris Johnson became the new Prime Minister of Britain, and Christian leaders are now calling for the UK Church to pray for their new leader.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Paul Arthur.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Coaldale RCMP, along with Lethbridge Fire and EMS, were dispatched to a two-vehicle collision at the intersection of Highway 4 and Range Road 205 yesterday evening. A semi-trailer T-boned an SUV that was turning onto the highway, crushing the driver's side of the vehicle. The two occupants, an elderly couple in their 80s from Taber, were pronounced deceased at the scene. Highway 4 was shut down for about 6 hours to allow a traffic reconstructionist to investigate the scene. Police are not releasing the names of the deceased. Lethbridge police are seeking the public's assistance to locate a missing man. 29-year-old Mitchell Hagans was last heard from on July 19th. He has ties to Lethbridge and Edmonton. However, recent information indicates he may have been in the Pincher Creek area. Hagans is described as Caucasian, 5'10" and 220 pounds, brown hair, possibly with a brown beard and mustache. He may be wearing military camouflage clothing. Anyone with information on his whereabouts is asked to contact police. RCMP in Alberta say one woman is dead and a man is in custody following an incident they are describing as a domestic situation. Officers from the Rocky Mountain House Detachment responded to several 911 calls Friday night about a man with a gun in a home. They found a 28-year-old woman dead and her 29-year-old sister with non-life-threatening injuries when they arrived, along with 3 children who were not hurt. A 44-year-old man later turned himself in to RCMP, and police say charges are pending. A wildfire yesterday afternoon prompted the evacuation of the hamlet of Walsh in southeastern Alberta. Cypress County Emergency and Fire Services battled the flames that burned south of the Trans-Canada Highway and then jumped the highway due to strong winds. Cypress County declared a state of local emergency and will keep that in place over the next few days, even though the fires are now contained. A group of Roman Catholics in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, is defying a bishop's order to close their 200-year-old church. The Diocese of Antigonish ordered the closure of the Church of St. Bara in 2015 as part of the fallout from a sexual abuse scandal. But irate parishioners have reopened the church for scripture readings, meetings, and community events. One of the church's wardens says it's appalling that parishioners are being made to pay for what he calls sins of the flesh. More resources are being poured into the hunt for a pair of murder suspects believed to be hiding out in the woods around Gillam, Manitoba. RCMP continue to search door to door, but say there have been no new sightings of Briar Schmigelski and Cam McLeod, but also no information to indicate they have left the area. The aerial search got a boost this weekend with the arrival of a Hercules aircraft equipped with thermal detection gear. The Indigenous-led neighborhood watch group, the Bear Clan Patrol, has also joined the effort. Federal Conservative Party leader Andrew Scheer was in Vancouver yesterday for some election campaigning, taking some swipes at the Prime Minister.
He said the budget would balance itself in 2019. And now we see those record $20 billion deficits adding to the burden on the next generation of Canadians. Not just the next generation of Canadians, but future taxpayers. We know that taxes have already gone up for hardworking Canadians. And it started with that attack on small businesses just a couple of years ago. And remember, that was the best insight into this Liberal government and how they viewed people in our community who create jobs, create opportunities, who take risks. And Conservatives, your Conservative colleagues, worked with chambers of commerce and boards of trade and hardworking entrepreneurs and people who worked at those small businesses to fight back against that. Because we recognize something that the Liberals don't, that prosperity is contagious, that success breeds other success, and you don't need to tear some people down in order to build other people up. That is something that Conservatives feel very strongly about.
U.S. presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders has joined a group of Americans with diabetes on a trip across the border to buy insulin in Windsor, Ontario. The Vermont senator maintains the high cost for insulin has put the lives of American diabetics at risk, and he railed against U.S. drug companies. A vial of insulin costs about $340 in the U.S., roughly 10 times the price in Canada. The group's visit has raised concerns about Americans draining the Canadian drug supply, and experts are urging the federal government to safeguard Canadian drugs. U.S. President Donald Trump's latest Twitter tirade, calling the Baltimore District of Representative Elijah Cummings a disgusting rat and rodent-infested mess, has critics again accusing him of racism, as the district is majority black. But Trump has since tweeted, quote, "There is nothing racist in stating plainly what most people already know, that Elijah Cummings has done a terrible job for the people of his district." Baltimore's mayor has fired back, saying that Trump is a disappointment to Baltimore, the country, and to the world. Police in Hong Kong are urging residents to keep their windows closed as officers use tear gas to disperse pro-democracy protesters. It's the second night in a row that police have fired tear gas at protesters in an escalation of weeks-long demonstrations in the Chinese territory. Opposition to an extradition bill has morphed into demands for the resignation of the city's leader. Underlying the movement is a broader push for full democracy in that territory. This week, Boris Johnson became the new Prime Minister of the UK, and Christian leaders are calling for the UK Church to pray for their new leader to have wisdom and direction to lead the nation at such a crucial time. Peter Wooding from the Global News Alliance has the story.
As Boris Johnson takes over from Theresa May to lead the UK, Christian leaders from across the country are calling for prayers for their new British Prime Minister, particularly at a time of so many divisions among the government and the public over issues like Brexit. One of those spearheading that call to intercede for the country's new leader is National Day of Prayer's Jonathan Oliade. He has organised several stadium prayer rallies in the capital city, and in 2010 he shared the platform with Boris Johnson when he first became Mayor of London.
4 days into his premiership as mayor, he was prayed for on the platform, and that was such a powerful moment. Boris Johnson is one of the leaders that the church has prayed for perhaps the most.
And this is what Boris Johnson had to say at the National Day of Prayer about the Christian community.
There are people who are working really, really hard to help people across society, and I want to see them encouraged in any way that I can. There are loads and loads of kids in London who don't get the opportunities that they need. I see Christian groups helping them. I see the scale of their ambition, and I want to support that.
James Mildred from the Christian organisation CARE shares other key issues they'll be seeking to highlight under this new government.
Well, I think for us, some of the areas that will particularly interest us to do with the value of life, for example. We're deeply concerned by what's happened in Northern Ireland recently. We'd like to see a much greater respect for the value of life across the whole of the United Kingdom. When it comes to free speech, it's absolutely essential that free speech as a principle is upheld. We need to be free to insult each other. We need to be free to disagree with each other. If we're not, that is the kind of hallmark of a totalitarian regime, and that's the kind of direction we don't want to be going in. We are looking forward to the publication of a major report looking at what it's like to be a Christian in Britain today. That will make recommendations as well to the new Prime Minister, to the Cabinet. We expect them to be taken seriously.
So it's hoped these united prayers for the country's leadership will play a key role in bringing godly values in this nation.
Recapping one of our top stories this hour, a collision between a semi-trailer and an SUV south of Coaldale yesterday evening has claimed the lives of an elderly couple from Tabor. And a look at weekend weather. It looks like a sunny and hot week ahead of us. Clear skies overnight with a low of 10, sunshine tomorrow, and a high of 30 degrees. Scientists have finally made a breakthrough to see an actual image of a black hole. What are they exactly, and why is this important? Hal Roberts sat down with astronomer Dr. Hugh Ross to discuss this. That interview is straight ahead. But first, here's a look at what's happening in and around your community.
Here's your Bridge City News Community Calendar. Gem of the West Museum in Coaldale is hosting an open house on Heritage Day, August 5th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Take in ice cream making, crafts for the kids, a scavenger hunt, and more. It's fun for the whole family, and admission is by donation. For details, visit gemofthewest.ca. The 22nd annual Joel Nicholas Arnoldson Memorial Charity Golf Tournament is taking place Friday, August 16th at Paradise Canyon Golf Resort. Green fees are $190 per person, with proceeds going toward the Green Acres Foundation, which provides quality and affordable housing for seniors. For more information and to register, call 403-328-1155. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.